Good morning. Thank you. Welcome back to More Most of the People. My name is Asa and I am your host. Today I have a beautiful soul with me. Nobody's invited on this podcast if I don't find them super incredibly special. And today I have my friend Thijs Gesterling with me all the way from Stockholm, Sweden. I'm sitting here in Westerville, Ohio. My friend who is in Stockholm, who I normally can see in Sweden, is now across the pond, but I've asked her to be my guest today. Welcome, Thijs.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been so excited to just have this conversation with you. And I've been thinking about it like almost daily since you asked me to be on this podcast. I'm not even kidding.
I
And it's
love
been
it.
like a month or I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
been like pretty long time. So yeah, nervous and
Mm.
excited at the same
Oh,
time.
good. Don't be nervous, honey. This is our time to have a nice chat and for
Yes.
for me to share you with the world because as I was saying before, you're not typically the person that shows up in the front. You're the person in the background. And that is exactly the kind of person that I love having on here because the world needs to learn from everyone and see everybody's story or hear everybody's story. And I think that you are really super special. And I'm gonna get into why I think that is. But let me just go back a little bit to give a little bit of our history is when we met, when you and I first knew of one another. And that was, gosh, you were in middle school. Would that be considered middle school or elementary
Uh,
school?
yeah, I think so. I was like 13 years old.
Yeah, when you were 13 years old, I was working in a school as an administrator and you were a student. And
Yeah.
all I remember, I would just remember seeing you going through the hallways, but you always had this enormous smile. And I thought that was so nice that somebody is smiling and kind and just seemed really gracious. And I just remembered you. And then as a 19-year-old, you were out of school, you were getting to the next phase of your life, and I was working as a life coach, and you
Yes.
contacted me and asked me to coach you as a
Yeah,
19-year-old.
I can actually just give the backstory if I may.
Yes,
So,
please.
because I was gonna have like some I was starting to have my first clients and I was gonna do a copywriting gig for free. And then I just looked at some inspo because I think I was gonna help some coach and then I searched coach on LinkedIn and then I saw you. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And then I read your website for some inspiration and I was like, whoa, this is exactly what I need actually. And then I just like contacted you and
Mm.
yeah, was a
Which,
time where
I mean, come on, you're
yeah,
19 years old. Who hires a life coach at 19? That was
I know.
I thought, like, is she serious? I mean, she's 19 years old. This is terrific. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to treat you like everybody else. And I will talk to you and we'll see exactly what it is that you need and what are you thinking and how can we
Yeah.
do this? And that's how you and I became, then we became adults, right? Then we were adults together because at that point, I mean, earlier, obviously, you were a student in the school.
Yeah.
But now at this point, you have become a young woman starting your life with your new career and you're just, deciding where, like, what area do you want to go into, or what part of your life do you want to maybe work on or try to focus in on? And it was, I've loved you. I don't want to say proud of you because it sounds so weird, but I was proud because you were a young woman who cared enough to reach out a hand for help. And that is a common theme, I think, throughout our relationship together that I recognize in you. And, where does that come from? I mean, how is that something you grew up with?
It's so funny that you say that, but because I don't at all consider me as the type of person that reach out for help. I've spoken to this with my partner Andre, and that because in my family, I would say that we kind of grew up with like a weird relationship with helping each other because we're so independent and don't really help each other. So don't ask for help, don't help. Like I still help people, but it's like I don't know. So it's interesting that you say that because that's something that I'm working on. But
Well,
when I
I see
contacted
it.
you, I was just at a point where just I was so stuck and
Hmm.
I just needed to try anything and yeah, and then make the investment to
Yeah.
just see if I could get some yeah
And you
answers.
did. I mean, you did make an investment. I didn't.
Yeah,
charge you anything differently than I would somebody 50 years old. And I mean, and you came up with it. Like you made, even at that point, like that took time. That took, it took some gumption. It took being creative. How am I going to get the money to pay for this? And you did it and you
yeah.
showed up, man. You showed up and you did the work and are, and you're still doing it and you're still doing it. And I think that's, do you think that's a Swedish thing where we got to do everything ourselves? This whole I can't ask for help. You know what? It's no, 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 no. I'm just going to do it myself. It's kind of like Swedish death cleaning. Like people won't ask for help. They'll do it themselves. I'll do it myself in
Uh,
Sweden, but not in America.
yeah, it can definitely be like it's Sweden is very individualistic because I
Mm.
am born in Brazil, so I have my family there. And a few years ago, I had 2 months where I just got to know my culture for the first time. And that's where I really noticed the differences that here in Sweden, we put like our parents and grandparents in what do you call it, pensionat, uh,
Yeah,
like
retirement
these
homes.
retirement homes. And in
Mm.
Brazil, it's like you would never do that.
Yeah,
You live with your parents or they live with you.
yeah.
You shop their groceries. You all help each other out so much.
Mm.
It's not like you rely on each other and help each other out. It's not
Mm.
just like outsource the
Yeah,
taking care
right.
of your
Yeah,
family
outsource
members.
everything. Well,
Yeah.
I think I found that also interesting when I moved back to Sweden since I was raised in America. I came back to Sweden when I was like, what, 43 or something. And I was thinking I was going to have this huge relationship with all my cousins and we're going to get together all the time and my aunts and my uncles. And that doesn't happen. That doesn't actually happen at all. There's maybe, a couple cousins that I speak to, but everybody's got their own lives. They do their own thing. And I like that culture, the Brazilian culture of taking care
Yes.
of our own and living in a big, living together. And my mom here, I'm sitting in my mother's home, and how can I help her? My nephew lives with her to help her, and that it enables her to be able to live in her own home. I think that is a beautiful, I don't know if that's necessarily a cultural thing, but I'm just super grateful for it. But I think it's
Yes.
also great that you have the Brazilian side, you've got the Swedish side because your mommy is Brazilian and your daddy is Swedish, right?
Yeah. Both my biological parents are from Brazil, and then I came
Okay.
here with my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So both your biological parents. That's right.
Yeah.
So then now in your life, you're now 20, nearly 24 years old, and
Ooh.
you're in a relationship with the love of your life, and you live in
Yes.
Stockholm. And, you're so interesting because in my opinion, in my vision of you, you're fearless. Like you're not afraid to try and to experiment and to say, you know what, let's try this right now. And if it doesn't work, screw it. We'll just try something else.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, everything like you touch is successful, and like you keep everything is successful because you learn all the time, like you're learning from each experience. I mean, let me give some examples of what you have going on in your life right now. You have created an app, which I love, for people people who have trouble sleeping, and it's like they're listening to a movie while they're going to sleep. We're going to talk about that. You have a YouTube channel which now you've, I think, outsourced it to have it managed by other people, but a YouTube channel where you talk about Bridgerton, a TV show which I've never watched, and
Yeah.
and something else, and
Yeah.
and you've helped people with TikTok and LinkedIn, like do campaigns for them to like have them go viral. And I mean, it's e-commerce. I mean, it's like, what? Who are you? Like, how do you come up with all these ideas? You're so creative. In my opinion, you're so creative. Where does all that come from? What is that?
Hmm. Big question. But thank you so much for the fearless compliment because that's something that I try to be. But the creativeness, I don't know. I I think that I've always liked to just do what that I find cool,
Mm.
and that I just so yeah. So after I started my entrepreneurial journey, that's when I learned like you can learn anything because at first I felt like because before making these other people viral and viral videos, I didn't know how to edit videos, and I never identified as a person that could ever do that. It was always other people. I'm not the type of person that can do this. But then my wonderful boyfriend Andre, he actually taught me how to edit, because I was doing like some Canva designs and stuff, and he was like, "This is kind of similar, but for video format, I think you'd be really good at this." And then just tried it. I was super frustrated, hated it, and then I tested another program that was much simpler, and then it did well. And yeah, and then just the people that I have around me now today, like first it was kind of a lonely journey, but I mean,
Mm,
having Andre, my business partner, Marcus,
mm,
our developer Eden, like yeah, there's so many people that I'm surrounded with, and yeah, I know we all inspire each other. We're
mm.
all like genuine people. It's very
Yes, yes.
inspiring.
I definitely will say that you are definitely genuine people. Andre is as well. Love him, and I mean, he's so gracious, and how you can like spur ideas from one another. And you know,
Mm,
I was talking to you before we hit the record button about how, excuse me, the the older we get, the more afraid we become. The more afraid we become to take chances and to put ourselves out there, to look stupid, or you know what, oh no, my family's going to see this. I couldn't possibly do a video about that or whatever. Um, you know, I don't see you being worried about that kind of stuff. It doesn't drive you. That's not the primary factor in you. And I think it's very admirable. And I like to learn from people like you. I'm 57 years
thank
old,
you.
and I'm learning from you by listening to you and hearing what you create, and that you're like, well, you know, well, this is what we did with our YouTube channel. You could get more, you know, viewers by having different languages so people can understand it, or whatever it was at the time. Like, oh my God, I would never even have thought of something like that. I mean, that is so ingenious. And I mean, that's you guys working together, like in your group,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah. And it's, I mean, the work that you've done, I mean, working up, your parents are both engineers, right?
yes,
Yeah, so you have
right.
two engineer parents, which is that's an
Yeah,
interesting thing. Just that have, I mean, I had
yeah.
one engineer. My father was an engineer. My mom was a teacher.
Mm.
But you also, I mean, as having being grown up in that kind of environment, you are also loving to teach now, teaching others how to do things so that they can learn more and then they can take it over and pay it forward in a different way. What are your thoughts on how that has impacted your way of working through things? Do you think it has, having the engineer parents and the creativity that you obviously come to the table with?
So like the engineer parents thing is so interesting because that was the dream that I was gonna like follow their footsteps and
Mhm.
do something in their like domain because
Mm.
yeah, we need engineers. You can get a guaranteed job. And I thought that was what I wanted to. So that was I went to a gymnasium, like a tech gymnasium, and then when I went there I was like, wow, this is not for me at all.
This is so not me.
Yeah, because I've always been like kind of like loving creative stuff, designs and stuff, but I've always done like more like square in Swedish we say like square fyrkantiga things that are more
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah. Rigid
engineering-ish. So
rules. Yeah.
yeah, very, so I've never felt like that I fit in into that, but I could like kind of
You
try to
could.
shape
Hmm.
shift, but like I didn't like it. And then yeah, we had like this UF-företag, it's like where you could test to have like your own company. And that's
Yeah,
where
which I
how I met
love.
you.
Yeah. Oh.
And so that was like what the pivotal thing that exposed me to something completely different where I could, for fun, try to have this company without, I mean, there's zero risk involved.
Yeah.
And I could just, and then that's where I got to know about marketing and working more creatively. And the pivotal moment in the gymnasium was when I decided that I was not gonna add, it was two courses that you needed to become an engineer. It was like a math course and a physics course. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna apply for these courses. And if I do that, I won't be able to apply to the universities where this
Mm.
is the requirement for you to
Hmm.
like even to
Hmm.
study these things. So I was like, then I'm
Mm.
forcing myself to just give a shot on what I think that it is that I want to do. Uh,
Look at
and for
that.
my parents, it was like, ugh. But I was like, ah, I will. I will resent them for my
Mm,
entire life if I
mm,
wouldn't have done what I wanted to do, versus them maybe like being pissed and upset with
mm.
me
Yeah.
these first years of me
Ooh.
trying to get it off the ground.
Oh, girl,
Um,
that was your pivot moment right there, right?
yeah.
That was the moment that Tice Gesterling became the adult Tice Gesterling because you made a very adult decision on your own behalf. That's authentic living right there. That is where your path could have gone. Ooh, this is so interesting. I just looked at this card. So you know that I pull a tarot card before I talk to anybody, right? And so I
Mm.
pulled a tarot card before I spoke to you. And here we have the Two
Oh,
of Swords. And the Two of
oh.
Swords, you see how she's sitting there with her mask on her eyes, and then she's got the two swords. Like what's the decision? What kind of a decision do I need to make here? This was the crossroads. This was the crossroads that the
Mm.
first, maybe the biggest life decision where you chose yourself, which is so beautiful and important. And I want people to really listen to that because how easy it would have been to be like, okay, I'm just going to hate my parents for the rest of my life for the decision that they made me make, when in
Mm.
fact it was yours to make. And let me go back a little bit for the American or the English speakers that don't understand what UF företag means. And that's in
Yeah.
high school, in Sweden, students can go into groups and like start little businesses of their own and come up with a business idea, come up with a marketing strategy, come up with all this, and to try to teach kids about entrepreneurship, which is, I think it's terrific. I think it's a fantastic
Mm.
idea. And so for you then to like kind of get your first taste of, hmm, yeah, no, that doesn't feel right for me because right then you were checking in with yourself and you knew those two classes would change the trajectory of my life forever.
Yeah.
And you chose your freedom. And coming back to an authentic life where as a 24-year-old, when I met you again as a 19-year-old now to 24, the path that you have taken, and here you are, you have created with your wonderful group there. You have an app called Storing. Is that how you pronounce
Storing.
it?
Yeah.
Storing.
Storing.
Yeah.
It's
Explain
like
what that's about
story,
with an N.
story, but with an N at the end because it's like in Swedish, you could say storing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that app. Oh, yeah, we had an amazing meeting yesterday with two super cool people that we might add as co-founders for this project. But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, so the app, it started off with us, um, Andre, and another guy that had the idea of creating 3D audio stories, and that
What
was
is
something.
what does that
So
mean? I don't
like,
understand what that means.
yeah, because it hasn't really like been done in the way that we're thinking it. But yeah, so imagine you listen to an audiobook,
Yeah.
but you have 3D sounds. It feels like you are inside
Oh,
of.
okay.
So if you listen to something about ancient Greece, it's like you can travel back in time and hear all the same sounds as like it is like in that
Hmm.
space. So we kind of
Yeah.
like because if you think about YouTube and TikTok, all the visual elements of movies, we have played around so much with the visual stuff, but not about like
Audio.
with the audio. Because it's
Hmm.
just like how can you like enhance the experience there and really feel
Hmm.
immersed?
Hmm.
Um, like I don't know when you go on a walk, but when you have your headphones on, it feels like you are like in a completely another dimension.
Hmm.
And to really play with, I mean, someone is whispering in your ears, and someone is like, it feels like you are in the story, but
Hmm.
without using your eyes, which I
Wow.
like because I've been scrolling so much on social media and I get like fatigued and just
Yes.
tired. But I
What?
still want to like listen to stuff, maybe when I'm cleaning or
Hmm.
going to the gym, but and learn things like I would love to learn about history and yeah, like the Roman Empire, but then you can have like this super immersive
Hmm.
experience about the Roman Empire and yeah,
Wow.
so like
Ooh, I just got chills.
yeah.
That sounds cool. I'm
Yeah,
like, how can I
so
use this in my podcast? Um, so your
yeah.
app is meant for people who have maybe trouble falling asleep. Is that?
That was the first because we're trying to figure out like what is who are the people that we want to like create this app
Mm.
for. And
Yeah.
yeah, first we were thinking about falling asleep because um yeah, as me and Andre, we have so many ideas, business ideas, and can get a hard time to sleep. Like these last days, I've had so much adrenaline. I wrote the script for 11 hours straight
Oh
without
my
taking a
God.
break. I was like, I don't know what happened. And then just 2 weeks ago, I could almost not sleep for 5 days because I was so much adrenaline, so many ideas. So to just like put your headphones on and then just
Mm.
shut your mind off by just listening to something else rather than your
Mm.
own thoughts was the
Mhm.
first idea. But then now we're more leaning towards immersive audio experiences. So not so much for sleep. We're trying to test out both and see. We're very data driven. We're just gonna test and see
Yeah. Yeah.
what do people want,
Yeah.
what does the best, and do more of what's
See,
doing good.
that's what I'm talking about. You're not afraid to try things. You know, like me, for example. I am. I mean,
Mm,
it's like people say, well, try test A and test B. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I'm like, you know what? If
mm,
nobody listens to it or if nobody says anything, that's cool. It wasn't meant for them. That's all right. I'll just, I'll keep doing my podcasts and I'll just keep
yeah.
doing my posts or whatever. And so I love there's no attachment. There's no attachment to necessarily the result, but that you're creating something that sounds literally very interesting. It sounds intriguing because it is true. It is how this our visual environment, it is so overstimulating and it is exhausting to constantly be looking or scrolling or looking for the next best thing or all that. So what's everybody else doing that I should be doing that I'm missing out on? I mean, all that boring stuff that I can't stand anyway. But,
Mm,
this is why the creativity around I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, that fascinates me because I'm like, well,
mm.
so don't be so attached. Don't be so attached to a result, Asa. Just let it go and try it. If it doesn't work, you do
Oh,
something else.
exactly. That's the most important thing. Don't attach, especially what I had trouble with before, your self-worth with the
Mm.
results.
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
was like,
Ooh,
if
oh
you
my
didn't do
gosh.
good,
I'm
I felt like shit.
a
That I was
loser.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's yeah, but that's not true. And then to just work away from that. And I like what I believe that I like. I like staying fluid and
Mm,
just because I don't want to box myself into I am this person, I like these things.
mm,
I'm learning and then I'm gonna test things out and see what works and then stay committed to whatever I think makes sense for as long as
mm,
it makes sense that and that I want to continue doing it kind of. So just stay fluid
mm.
kind of.
So staying fluid, I think, is really important. Now, I'm going to add my caveat to that for my own self because for me, I have to have my North Star. Like, what
Mm,
am I doing here? What do I believe? I don't have to know necessarily my purpose because I think that our purpose becomes revealed in so many different ways. Um, but what is it? What is it that drives you forward? What is your North Star that makes you get up in the morning? Because I know it's not about you. I know you're not doing all of this for
mm.
yourself. What is yours? What do you I mean, I didn't ask you before that I was going to ask you that question. So if you don't have an answer.
Yeah, yeah. I've thought about that question so many times, and I'm not sure is the answer. I've always wanted to do something big and that I am proud of,
Hmm.
and I've been very attracted to the thought of having a big business and do something innovative and disruptive,
Hmm.
and yeah, just be proud of what I'm doing. But I also have the other side where I I would just like to travel and just maybe go to a small village and try to like see what that's like. But
Yeah.
in my mind, I felt like it made sense to for this chapter of my life to just focus
Hmm.
on giving this a proper shot for maybe like at least 10 years and go full out because I also just enjoy what I'm doing. In the beginning, I
Hmm.
had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to get some experience and I didn't necessarily like everything that I was doing. And I never felt like I had a specific goal or North Star, but I just kept going because I knew that someday I might find it. So
Yeah.
I think that I try to just live in the moment now more than
Good.
I did before. Because
Yeah.
before I planned out like when I was like 10 years old, but it was more like probably one of my parents' voice that, okay, first I'm gonna go to this gymnasium, then I'm going to go to this university, I'm gonna take this course. I had like my whole life planned out, and now it's like completely different.
Now it's open.
And yes, but something that
Mm.
I figured out now recently is that um I mean the the freedom, obviously, from the finances to be able to work from home, go to another country, be able to. Me and Andre took my mom to Mallorca last, I think, was November, which was super fulfilling because she's had a really tough time, and to just be able to, yeah, help
Mm.
the mother that raised you and done so many
Mm.
sacrifices for you to give back
Mm.
was super
Mm.
amazing. And to,
Mm.
yeah, now there's like an app where I'm teaching my siblings about finances. That's like a whole
Ooh,
nother
ooh,
tangent,
ooh, that's cool.
but it's super fulfilling to, it's like an app for kids so they can like learn the value of money and interest. So like my 9-year-old sister is talking about interest in money, like how she can like, yeah, I
So
don't
it's an
like
app for children to learn the importance and value of money.
yes, it's
Could you,
amazing.
can you name it?
Yes, it's called Xing. So
How do you spell
uh,
it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tjing.
And it's Swedish?
Yes, it's Swedish.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
Swedish entrepreneur that made this for his kids
Oh, that's cool. But we can
to
also
have.
tag it in
Yeah.
the show notes because, for any people that I've just been talking about this with my family, the importance of teaching the value and understanding how money works, how
Mm,
to start investing money or saving money today. The younger you are, the better you are as far as compounding interest.
exactly.
And God, see,
Yes.
because you are the oldest, you are the oldest child of what are you? You're five or you're
Yeah.
four?
Yes, I'm the fourth,
Okay, so you are the
or
oldest
like
of four
a
kids.
four. Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes with its own responsibilities. I also think that's why you also have this love of teaching and showing the others, the youngers, because you're considered to be the elder, right? You're the
Yeah.
elder,
Yeah.
and that is again the I think the Brazilian piece of you where you care enough to still want to support your mother, lift your mother, help your mother, and that you do whatever you can. Andre does the same thing with his mother, that you both
Oh,
are so kind and so loving to your families. It's so, to me, very admirable. And you being
yeah.
disruptive. I love that, this, I just learned this from my friend Andy Shockney, who explained to me that we spend the first like third of our lives learning, and then the middle of our lives we apply what we've learned, and then the end of our lives
Mm,
we teach what we've learned. And so I'm like, oh gosh, I mean, like I never really thought about that. And you working and doing things with people, maybe you didn't really love what you were doing, but you were learning and you were putting
yes.
yourself out there to learn, because we can always learn a lesson. Every single thing we do, we can learn something. And if if you we're going to have to cut it off now because my timer has now gone off. I told you this would go so fast. I know it's like
What?
this. I know it's like a blink. It's a blink. But we can have you back. We got to talk about more stuff. But if you, right now in your life, if you can tell anybody that's listening, because it could, we never know how people need to hear just one thing. And you have said so many beautiful things about how you live your life. And, it's not all roses. I understand that. Nobody's life is, but, also the perspective that we choose to look at ourselves from, it can be very, very positive and proactive. And I believe that you are choosing that stance. Do you have any last minute thing that you want to say or share with anybody in the world about how you have gotten to this point in your life? The financial
Yes.
freedom is very important. Of course, without money, we feel like we
Uh,
can't move. But do you have anything
yeah.
you want to say?
I know exactly what I want to say to this
Good.
question, and it is you really really pay attention to the relationships that you have in your life, because the right relationship can make your life become 10x better. Every single
Hmm.
area of your life can really rise and just be amplified. But as soon as I me and Andre started working together, we both started to make more money. We both became healthier. We're making like have more ideas. We're just like all areas of our lives just started to get better and more powerful. And same thing with my friends, we like lift each other up. We're
Yeah.
excited for one another when someone got
Mm,
good news. We want to see each other succeed. And
mm,
then there's also relationships where for some reason they maybe don't want to you to succeed, or maybe are jealous, or like putting their like insecurities or something, and like stopping you from doing what it is that you want to do. Because
mm,
I've seen it play out
mm,
very closely to my life with a long 20-year relationship of that it's not really like serving you can do, and
mm,
like just strip your entire personality of and life
mm, mm,
from you. So it's, I think that's the most important thing, to really have
Pay
good people
attention.
and
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's one of my top values. One of my top three values is relationships and community.
yeah,
So it is, you're so right. And then also, I mean, the relationships, people think that just because people are family, that they get the honor of being in your VIP on the top. And you know what? People don't. People need to respect us and love us and cherish us like we respect and love and cherish them. And if we have people in our lives that are not lifting us, or are you part of the solution or you're part of the problem? I think that
yes,
is super duper important. And we know who those people are, and we feel who those people are that are not a part of our solution. And sometimes it's harder because it is family. It takes a little bit of time to kind of
yeah.
move yourself away from that. But I think
But
that is super, super sound.
yes, generally your life would get easier around this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can explain it.
Mm, mm. And I think it's great that you and Andre also, the fact that when you started working together, that you became stronger, like stronger as a couple,
Yes,
but also stronger
yeah,
as a unit for the world, because then you're now putting things, you're putting your brains together, you're putting your energies and efforts together and creativity together. And it's
yeah,
beautiful. And I love that. I love that
yeah,
for the world. I thank you. I thank you for
yeah.
you guys being together and doing this, because I have a feeling that you two, or even just you, if I just make it about you, you are disrupting the world because you care about making it better. And that, especially right now with the way our world is moving, is more important than ever. More important than ever.
Thank
You
you.
are needed. Thank you. Thank you, Tice, for
Thank
your
you.
time today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Isn't that nice? Does not matter what age we are all wise, and we need to share it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I
I
appreciate
love you
you.
so
Oh
much.
my gosh. Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for
You,
having me.
my honor, my honor. We'll talk to you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.